Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today I'm going to bring you into my kitchen and share some eggplant recipes with you. Now, you might be wondering, why am I doing this? And the main reason is I have this terrible tick-borne illness called alpha-gal, and it's really made eating extremely difficult. I can't eat at restaurants anymore. I really can't eat anything that's pre-made, even from the grocery stores, because there's so many different ingredients in pre-made food that can trigger this alpha-gal reaction, which is a really, really terrible disease. It's one of these experiences that has made me rely on the food that I grow more than ever. And, you know, if you've ever heard me give a presentation, I often give the backstory of how I started growing vegetables, and it was straight up because I was too poor to pay my bills and also grocery shop. And I started growing vegetables, but lived in a neighborhood with a really strict HOA and had to figure out a way to navigate them, but still grow the food that I couldn't afford to buy. You know, fast forward 15 years, and that's not necessarily my motivation anymore. Now my motivation is that I can't eat anything that's pre-processed. I have to grow, I have to eat everything from scratch. I might as well grow it. And I really do rely on the crops that I harvest more than I ever thought I would. And so I wanted to share my really simple baba ghanoush recipe with all of you, because though I shouldn't get sick from eating baba ghanoush, I do. However, I don't get sick when I eat the one that I make. And I have a lot of eggplants. So without further ado, let's go into my kitchen and let me show you this extremely easy process. Okay, step one, super easy. You just wash your eggplant, and then I usually just cut the top and bottom off, and then I slice them literally just in half. And I lay them cut side down on a baking sheet. I don't add any oil or any seasonings at this point. I'm literally just cooking them so that the skin will be easy to peel off. So I'm gonna pop this tray into the oven, which I have preheated at 400 degrees. That setting is just because I'm impatient. Probably more logically, you should just do it at 350. You'll have to cook it a bit longer, maybe 45 minutes. At 400 degrees, it's usually 20 to 25 minutes. And I don't really like cooking anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and confess this, because I don't get to eat any of the food that I actually want to eat, like cheese. I have really lost interest in cooking, and I basically just eat to survive. One caveat to that is that I get a lot of joy from growing the vegetables. So another part of sort of my like psychological approach to managing this food allergy is I enjoy the growing process more than the cooking and eating. And I know that probably doesn't sound rational, but you know what? Sometimes when you have a disease, rationality isn't actually the primary focus. So you just got to find the things that motivate you and follow through on those. And for me, growing these eggplants is where I feel an accomplishment. The fact that I can eat them is like, okay, that's great. I need caloric intake so I can keep playing outside. All right, without further ado, let me pop these in the oven. I'm gonna cook them for about 20 minutes and then I'll give you an update. And by the way, if you're into seed saving, this is a good opportunity when you're cutting these in half to just take little bits and pieces. This one had an insect bore through it, so obviously I'm not cooking that, but it's the perfect opportunity to save seeds so that you can grow your own eggplant next year. I've actually had better germination on the eggplant seed that I harvest versus the seed that I buy from, you know, garden centers and places. So little tidbit there, I'm always saving seed. In fact, I keep little envelopes here so that it's easy as I harvest it to be able to stash it away. And well, you know, I can't help it. I'm again, the part of this that I enjoy is the growing, and part of the growing is the seed saving. So if I have to trick myself into enjoying a meal by the process of saving seed, that's totally fine. Okay, so the eggplants have cooked. You can see they're kind of wrinkly, and that is perfect because they will be really easy to peel. I'm gonna try and do this one-handed. You see how the skin It's just coming off really easily. When I have both hands, it works a little more efficiently. So I'll go ahead and put this on time lapse so you can see the process of skinning, but there it is, going pretty well. So what you'll be left with is just the inside meat of the eggplant. Okay, that is the innards cooked from the eggplant. I have more eggplant that didn't fit on the original pan. And for this batch, I'm actually going to roast garlic and onion with it. And then I just wanted to show you the seed saving process. The Sabios are coming over tonight for BLTs because I found duck bacon and it's really delicious. And I'm very excited. I went ahead and harvested some cream sausage seed. That is right here. And really let that get like moldy for a couple of days. And then I rinse it off in a colander, and then I ultimately dry it off and store it for next year. And then I have the same thing with the eggplant. The eggplant seeds don't need to go through the moldy phase like the tomato seeds do. So I'm just gonna let these dry out, and then they will ultimately go into the 2024 eggplant envelope. But before I get too ahead of myself, I'm gonna go ahead and do the next batch. And this is one of these recipes that I've been playing with just to make it have like kind of more of a full body flavor. And I really like the addition of the onion and garlic. And in traditional baba ganoush, you do add garlic, and I forgot to roast it. So I'm doing this in part because garlic needs to go into both batches, but the onion's only going to go into the one. And this is sort of funny. I just like using purple onions in baba ganoush because it matches the eggplants. Has nothing at all to do with flavor. Remember, I'm not a chef, okay? I am literally just cooking to be able to survive. So there are definitely people who have much better cooking channels than me. But nevertheless, this baba ganoush is actually really delicious, so it's worthwhile. And just to like really reiterate that I basically just eat vegetables. Here's 2 heads of broccoli and 1 head of cauliflower roasted, also at 400 degrees. I cooked this at the same time as the first batch of eggplant. And it's really delicious, just lightly salted. I add complete seasoning and a little bit of olive oil. And well, I usually eat all of it and there's never anything left to serve to guests, but what can I say? I eat a lot of broccoli and cauliflower. That's why I grow a lot. So just pulled out the second batch, and you can see the onions and garlic have a nice crisp to them. I did add a little olive oil and salt just here on those, because those are gonna go in. And I've actually decided I'm not gonna make 2 batches because I'm starting to run out of steam. I'm gonna make 1 big batch using the garlic and onions mixed with the eggplant. My 2 favorite seasonings, I buy them in bulk, the complete, and then of course ground cumin, which really brings out the proper flavor for the baba ganoush. And then the method that I use, because I don't really have a blender, I don't have like a NutriBullet or something, I use an immersion blender, and it works out great. It's probably not as efficient as a NutriBullet, but I gotta use what I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and skin the rest of these eggplants once they cool down, and then I'm gonna put it all together and make the magic happen. So while I wait for those eggplants to cool off a bit, just so I don't burn my fingers while I skin it, I did wanna say I do like to use fresh lemon juice. So for a batch this big, probably really I only need 1 lemon, 1 whole lemon juiced, which I just do by squeezing it. And then in traditional baba ganoush, tahini is added, and I get sick from the tahini that you buy at the store. I don't know what's in it, but I get sick. So I haven't been using any tahini in my baba ganoush. I will make tahini this fall when I harvest my sesame seed. But until I have sesame seed to harvest from the garden, I'm gonna be tahini free. Again, I don't understand why everything that's pre-made, even when it says it's vegan, still causes trouble, but it does. And I don't need to keep making the same mistakes and getting sick over and over again. So my baba ganoush does not include tahini, which definitely makes it a little bit different, but it's still completely delicious. Okay, I'm at the stage where I've put everything together. I've added the juice of 1 whole lemon. I added just a little bit of olive oil, which isn't really necessary, but I put olive oil in everything. I'm gonna add a little bit of ground cumin, and I'm not gonna salt anything until after I taste it. And this is mostly because I have a history of over salting things. Because I'm not a good cook, okay? I know it's stupid that I'm giving you cooking advice. All right, now, this doesn't always make the best sound, but it does do the job. And I'm gonna sort of pre-smash because that helps. And to save your ears, probably just gonna dub some music over the sound of this. All right, it's definitely the right consistency. Maybe a little chunkier, certainly chunkier than if you would put it in a NutriBullet or something, but I like it to have a little consistency. So let me get a chip and see how it tastes. It's pretty good. It definitely does need some salt. So go ahead and just add a little. Easier to add. It's basically impossible to take away. And I actually think it could use a little bit of complete seasoning. Probably getting a little eccentric here. This is what happens when I cook. But I'm not a Michelin star chef, you know? Nobody expects that sort of quality from me. The bottom line is, it's safe for me to eat. And that means something. And I grew it. That also means something. I think being a little closer to where your food comes from makes you appreciate it a lot more, even if you are feeling deprived like I do. Although tonight I'm pretty excited because we're having BLTs and I have duck bacon and it is awesome. Oh my gosh, it is like total game changer. Okay, so mix that in. And there's definitely a stronger onion flavor because I added an onion. But again, I like onion. And this doesn't necessarily have to be called baba ganoush. It's just inspired by baba ganoush. It is pretty practical because I can eat this on chips or crackers. I can add it to sandwiches. I just kind of eat it. Sometimes it's nice to have something you can snack on. You don't actually have to cook. So it's nice to be able to make a big batch and keep it in the refrigerator and just eat it over the course of a week. Wow. Unbelievable. It's so good. I wish you guys could taste it. It is super delicious. Just that little bit of salt and a little bit of that complete seasoning is totally all it needed. Well, all right. I know it's not the most appetizing of meals because the color, but that's what happens when you cook eggplant. And gotta say, it's really delicious, so I hope you'll give it a try. Well, as always, thanks so much for watching and putting up with my very not professional cooking videos. Well, thanks so much for watching, and happy gardening, everybody.